Welcome and thank you for coming along on another camping adventure. This one's going to be amazing. We're headed out east to eastern Oregon onto the border of Idaho to a very, very special place. I've been able to go out there once, but we're not camping in that same location. We're camping a little ways away. But I had incredible, amazing activity out there. I believe it was, I think it was like 2019 that I was last out there. So it is now July 2023, and I'm driving through the gorge, and it's gorge. This is a really special trip, not only because we're getting to gather kind of like a larger group of people within our camping group who are out of state and far away. They're coming up. But I also have a couple of friends that are caravanning with me. And it's really special. One person is a new friend. One person is an old friend. So my old friend, her name is Bet Williams, and I can't wait to introduce you to her. And I've known Bet for over 20 years, probably closer to like 23. And we met in Arizona when she came through town to do a reading from her book that she had just published. And we've been friends ever since, and we don't get together often. And in fact, it has been about 14 years since we've connected, so it's really special. And she brought a friend of hers, Rosemary, and she's my new friend. And so they're behind me, and we're caravanning. We've got about 5 or so hours, maybe 6 hours on the road, but it's a gorgeous day, and I'm excited. So let's do this. Hello. Today is day 2 of our lovely camp out. And yesterday was mostly like just getting into camp and getting set up. And by the time all that was over, everybody was tired. So everyone just pretty much went to sleep. I went to bed. I got to my tent at around 10:30. And then I laid here for a while trying to get to sleep, and it was really hard because it's very windy, and I don't have this tent like totally set up like it's supposed to with the guidelines and the staked corners or whatever, so it's really floppy and it's really loud. So I was like laying here for a long time just like listening to everything flop around, and I opened my eyes, and this was between like 12:30 and 1:30, 2 o'clock. I didn't get good sleep. I'm tired. But anyways, between 12:30 and 1:30, this side of the tent was totally lit up. And then this side of the tent
also lit up a bit, but that side of the tent really lit up. That was an interesting noise. There was something out there that was illuminating it, and I watched it like turn on and turn off, and I also watched it like be different colors. There was red, and then there was also blue, and then there was just like regular white light. No noise. No noise. I took a photo. I took 2 photos. So you'll see those. And I tried to like lift that up right there, just a little smidge, to try to look out. Still like it. But then I couldn't look out because it didn't work. So I gotta figure out little peek holes that I can make while I'm in here, and then stuff's happening out there. But the light at night has been seen before. Not sure what the light source was, but lights inside and outside of tents has been experienced by many, to include me. So we'll see if it happens again tonight. It was a trip. It was way too early in the morning, and now it's like finally calming down. I thought for sure there was like potentially a little tornado or something. The wind was so bad. I know it's quiet as a mouse. Okay. Let's get on with this day and have a lot of fun. See you in a bit. So I am outside of the tent, and I'm discussing with my neighbor the lights from last night, and she saw them as well. And she actually opened up her window completely and was able to see a red light and a white light. And we're still trying to determine if anyone came through here. Was it a headlight? Was it a parking light? Would those types of lights be able to illuminate 2 tents, 2 sides of tents that far apart, with the road that far apart? I don't know. So we've been discussing it, and she told me, she was like, hey, by the way, here's your cast from the last camp. Barb made this for me. She went back and she cast the footprint that I found the rock inside of. So I'm looking at this right here, and I go, hey, did you do this? Did you put flowers down here? She said no. And we have a bouquet of flowers. Tiny little bouquet of flowers on the ground. Right in front of her tent. Right next to this. And I'm over there. And she got a beautiful little bouquet of flowers. So that's really cool. We're still going to try to determine if anyone showed up here last night and if those lights could have come from any of us. But I don't know. What's this? What is all of this? Okay. Is this something? This a loop? I don't know. It's like an Easter egg hunt at camp all the time. Because there's always little things all over the place. And you gotta figure out if they're natural, if they're unnatural, if they were gifts, if they were given for us to find. So, that's dope. Mystery lights continue.
That would be a car for 2.5 hours, flashing lights.
Yeah, would someone have their lights flashing on and off for 2.5 hours? I don't think so. That would take away all of your battery.
Yeah, exactly.
And you wouldn't do that while you're camping. So, yeah, Cindy had her whole side of her tent lit up, same side as my tent. And we both silently watched what was going on from inside of our tents. So, and then she actually looked outside and she saw 2 light sources, but it's still undetermined as to where they came from. I vote orb.
I think it's orb.
I think it's orbs.
Mine would run their car for 2.5 hours. It just doesn't make sense.
Nope.
And when I unzipped that tent, I saw 2 round, one white, red, one white. So I don't know.
How far away? You said it was.
I would say across from the bathroom, but slightly forward a little. It's hard to tell. Let me get back over by mine. So it was right. No, actually, it was far. It would have had to have been far away because I had this window open, and so it would have had to have been this big tree, kind of right in front of that. But on
This one right here?
yeah, but in front on the road.
Oh, okay.
On the road. It was definitely on the road.
Okay.
Unless, see, it's hard to tell because I'm not in my tent. But I unzipped this side.
You unzip that side.
Yeah.
So this would be the. That would be the scene.
Yeah. So I only unzipped it about this, maybe 7 inches or so, and then looked out. And that's when I saw them right over on the road. One white, one red.
Do you know how high off the ground?
No, I can't say. I'm trying to remember. I was just like trying to figure it out. My brain at first was cars, but then I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah. When you're doing this kind of stuff too, it's fun playing with your brain, because your brain will do things and say, oh, it's this, it's that, and then you have to go back and re-educate your brain.
You do. You have to revisit, then go through that process, that thought process. Okay, really, was it a car because the how far it was apart? Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how far up. I can't.
But you'd say probably it wasn't like 10 feet up
Oh,
off the
no.
ground. It was kind of lower, right?
Yeah, it was low enough for me to see.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been 10 feet because the branches would have been in the way.
Yep. So it'd have to be below these branches to be seen through them over towards the. And if it was that, like, seriously, if that's where they were, for them to illuminate,
Yeah.
like someone had a flashlight like this,
Yeah.
you know, that's how bright it was. So, yeah, I vote orb.
It'll be interesting to see when we find out if anybody came into camp. But and I vote orb too, because no one's going to run their car for 2.5 hours, and those lights went on for a very long time.
Yep. Night 1, going into day 2. Let's have some more fun.
You almost touched me.
We're all standing here, we're looking at these flowers, and then there's another one, and this was not here earlier.
No, not 5 minutes ago.
This was not here. Wow.
That'll blow your mind. I'm tired too.
That's so fun.
And I kept seeing lights. And they can help me find my keys.
So,
All right, Indigo.
oh, you lost your keys? These are underneath the picnic table.
I had them in my pocket. You know, setting up.
And
Did you walk into the bathroom at all?
I
don't
did. I
know.
looked in there. Nobody's in there.
I wonder if they're under your tent.
so we had those flowers just like show up. The little secondary flowers show up while we were standing here. While 1, 2, 3, 4 people were standing here. 3 or 4 people were standing here. Me and Arla were just standing here, and they showed up right next to Arla. Let's take a look at it again. I reviewed the video that I just made showing you the original bouquet, and I didn't see the other one there. And then we looked down, and there's that one, and there's that one. There they are. And that's what they can do. They can be right next to you. The Sasquatch can be right next to you and you wouldn't know. And they can leave you gifts right next to your feet and you wouldn't know until you saw the gift. Not because you heard them walking up. This again is an example of their interdimensional nature and their ability to cloak and give you gifts. And then there was this one. It was like, okay, well, what else is there? Where is there anything else? And then I forget who saw. Oh, I think Lee saw this. Lee saw this one underneath. Those are picked. Those are snapped off. And they're just laying there. It is so windy. Multiple people saw those lights last night. Still don't know if it was orbs, although I think it was orbs. Because they were visiting everybody. And I don't think a car that was totally silent or a truck that was totally silent was coming and somehow getting in between that little space and lighting up the same sides of both tents. So I love it. I love it. That's why I'm here. It's good stuff. Thank you so much to everyone who's connecting and communicating. We still have what? 3 more nights? 3 more nights here. See what kind of fun is gonna happen. I also wanted to tell you I just moved I moved the casting over to my table that I have set up right there in the back of my tent. So something that's really cool about this, you can see that there's a big stick that is within the, it was a root, and it was embedded and stuck in its root system inside the casting. And they were, Barb and Heidi were unable to remove it because it was now permanently stuck to this. So as they were wondering what they were going to do and how they were going to get it out, not 2 steps away from this area was one of those wires, wood cutting wires that have finger rings on either side, and then you can go back and forth and you can cut wood. That was right there, right, just beautifully, right next to this area where they needed it to saw the ends off and remove it. So that's really fun too. I wanted to make sure I got that in there. Okay, let's see what else we can get into, what kind of adventures we can have. Hello. I have come on over to this area where we watch the sunset. And it's such a beautiful spot to just look and watch and see across this entire cavernous valley. There's also a stone circle here, and I don't know who made it. It might be like really ancient with the indigenous people of this area. But I wanted to show that as well. Big circle that goes all through here. That's a perfect spot for it for sure, because it's gorgeous up here. So, what a fun morning. There's already been so much that's happened in less than 24 hours. I need my sunglasses. Woo! Hello. So I just got done cooking a brunch, lunch, coffee, really good looking burrito. And as I was here at the truck doing so with the campsite behind us, I looked up in this tree and I noticed this. See that loop? See that loop right there? How did that loop get there? I don't know, but it might be my new favorite loop. Air off the spring here. This could be nice not to have that. Not to have your tent rattling. Yeah. I mean, it was whipping. It was.
Yeah, it wasn't breezy at all in Walla Walla, and then I got to Dayton and I pulled into the PDQ to top off the gas tank, and was like, wow, that's quite the breeze going out here. And when I went in, I said something to the lady, and she says, yep, it's blowing the heat out, but it's going to be real nice when it's done. So, awesome. Well, that fit right in with what I saw on the weather. Huh?
I said, if you're down there.
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday was just too hot. I mean, when we were getting the...
Good morning. It is This is wake up number 2. So I guess day number 3. We had a lot of cool activity last night. We hung out by the fire down at the base camp. And there was a ton of activity in the skies. We all saw a lot of different light orb ships. And I took a video of one of them. And it's pretty dope. We also had a really low orb of white light behind the trees, and then we saw it. We're like, whoa, wait a minute. You're not in the sky, you're down. So I was like, come on in to camp. And we're all watching it, and then it started coming. It started coming towards camp. But then it like turned and went behind these trees, and it never came out. That was really cool. So everybody got to see it. And then when I got back into my tent last night for the evening, and I turned the light off. Definitely had footsteps around the tent. And Cindy and she went to sleep at the same time I did. And I could hear her snoring, so I knew she was asleep. There would not be anyone else walking around my tent. And the footsteps were really interesting because they weren't far away and you heard them walk up and then walk, away and gradually get fainter. No. Just like 2 or 3 steps right outside the tent wall. Crunch, crunch, crunch. And then nothing. And then some more crunch, crunch, crunch. And then nothing. So it's always interesting because, they're just standing out there and doing some small things to let us know that they're here, like crunch, crunch, crunch. And then at 11:49, I heard a really, really distinct, loud, like tree snap, wood knock type of sound. But it was like, snap. And it was in the direction of, past the vault toilet, off towards, the big sloping field that goes down. And that was really cool. I haven't heard a wood knock tree snap like that in a long time. So that was special. And then I fell asleep. Man, I was tired. The night before, nobody got any rest because of how bad the winds were. But last night definitely made up for it. And I woke up way too early today. So I'm gonna chill out here for a little bit. I did go outside, and I did like a walk around the perimeter of where our my camp is and Cindy's camp. The flowers have not been disturbed. The bouquets that we found, and it's really, really like fine dust. And that's another interesting thing. You know, it's like you hear, like I heard the crunching footsteps, like it was on gravel, walking around the tent last night. But we have soft, powdery dust, dirt, as the substrate of this campsite. So I look for prints, feet prints, and I didn't see any. But what I did find, are these like singular finger swirl marks around 3 of the plants, the ground plants. And so they're just swirled around. I don't think an animal would do that. Or a bird. Subtle, but there, and once looked out, obvious. We have determined that 99.99% sure that the lights we saw the first night were indeed orbs. A red one and a white one. They were not headlights. We didn't have people coming through. Not like that. Not who left their lights on for over an hour and a half. And the orbs visited other people who were nowhere near where we are. So that's cool. Today we're gonna play a game where for 3 hours you can't do everything you say. You have to sing it like you're in a musical. It's gonna be my first time playing, and I'm stoked. I might make pancakes for breakfast, I don't know. But for now, I'm gonna continue to enjoy this glorious pillow and super comfy cot and mattress. So, right on. See you in a bit. right, we're on a little trail behind the base camp, and me and Arla are gonna head back over while everybody continues up the trail. And we just came through this area, and this was not there. And as we come back, this is here, very much within, in the middle of the trail where 6 or 7 other people walk through.
That there, you've got that there,
Yeah.
and you've got 2.
Oh my gosh. So beautiful. This entire little artistic expression. Very cool. And that, you know, there's not like a bunch of groupings of anything. There's this divot here, so there's a lot of pine cones in here.
Yeah.
But for all of that to show up like that is just absolutely beautiful.
It's repetition.
Repetition, the wise. Sasquatch are wise. They sure are. So I just came back over to my tent, and we're about to go over and check out the sunset. and I went to change into some more warmer clothing. And when I did, I noticed something. So here's my tent, and right down here is a pretty interesting little stick that has like these perfect bends in it. And it sure does look a lot like my tent. And it just so happens to be right here at my doorway. So I wanted to get that on film. And now we're off to see the sunset. Ready?
We're ready.
right, that was awesome, everybody. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so
Hello. It is the very last full day of camp. One more sleep, and then tomorrow is pack-up day. It's been super amazing, as always. Again, each camp out brings its own unique teachings and connections, and so did this one. Last night, after I got to bed, got into my tent, it was probably close to 11, and I turned my light out, and it was like almost immediate that there was touching my tent, and it was all in like this corner, this far corner right here. So it was like kind of like the farthest spot away from me in my tent was this like opposite corner where most of the activity was happening, which is also where that glyph was of the tent. But I had things thrown, maybe rocks. I have found like a few interesting rocks like over in that area on the ground. And hand swipes or nail swipes that came across this side. So my feet are down here. My head's back there. It was nails against this. Hands against this. And then there was like a hand grabbing and crunching and releasing that corner, and shuffling of feet, shuffling footsteps. There might have been more than one, because I would hear it on either side of my tent. My lips are really chapped. So it was a lot of fun. It was very cool. And I kind of interacted by, like there would be a noise outside, and I would clear my throat or breathe in and out loudly. And that went back and forth for like all the way until I went to bed. And I think I saw 111 on my phone as like the last time I saw what time it was. So at least an hour to an hour and a half of like nonstop walking around and things getting tossed, and then hands swiping through on the window mesh. So I'm not sure what the day holds for us today, but I know it's going to be brilliant. I know it's going to be beautiful. And I'll check back in with you later. Look at this view. Come on. Front porch. Yeah. That's a cool looking truck. See you soon. Okay.
This is Ashley Stinnett, who invited us to camp. We're so grateful. Yeah.
No, thank you both for coming. You guys are my first guests. I've been doing these camps for a while, and I've put the invitation out to a few different people who I thought would appreciate this type of environment and experience, and you guys are the first. I'm really, really happy that you are. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to be here with you guys, and to share this space. So thank you.
Well, like every morning I get to hear like your stories of all those things that you saw, like either the night before or we wake up. And do you want to share a little bit about the kinds of things that you've seen on your trips?
For sure. There's a lot that goes on along with this. And there's also a lot of avenues to come into this world or to come into this connection. And some people have like a lifetime obsession with the topic, or they really like the TV shows and they think that they're just like an animal that we don't know about. And then there's other people who come from different ways of looking at it, as if they're people like us, and they're like Arla says, they're like us in some ways, and they are not like us in some ways. We do differ, but our similarities are astounding. And when I came into this, I did not have any type of lifelong obsession. I didn't, they weren't on my mind at all. And I ended up moving. I felt very drawn to move to the Pacific Northwest. And when I did a series of very, very synchronistic, synchromistic, magical events began to unfold. And that started with the sky. And that started with a relationship that me and my partner started to develop with what we were seeing in the sky, which was a conscious interaction with light orbs, mostly in the sky. And this is something that happens in the Pacific Northwest. And we dove deep because it was something that we were experiencing. We were like, we got to know more about this. And we did, and we fostered that relationship to higher and higher levels. We moved up here in 2010, and it was kind of immediate that activity started happening for us. And then in 2013, I had my first experience with the Sasquatch People. And so I had this buffer zone of like 3 years, mega, ultra education process into the multidimensional realities of our reality. And when I had my interaction with them, I was like, oh, I already felt and knew of them as a higher dimensional being that could traverse this physical plane and the non-physical. I already had that understanding of them. So I'd never had to really like go through any type of step process when I started my first interactions with them. And I think that really, that plus my own being very naive and just going head first without a flashlight, both of those things together created a massive amount of connection with them and healing that they provided, and then I had to follow through with. So I began going on campouts with this group in particular in 2018 after knowing about them from a YouTube channel that the lady who runs this group has. And I was a huge fan of that show, and then she put the call out that they were gonna bring in new members. So I raised my hand
and she graciously accepted me. And since then, it's been nonstop. And I try to do 3 to 5, sometimes 8 or 9 or 10 campouts a year throughout the year, spring, summer, fall. And each one is more profound than the next. And there's a gradual teaching process that is occurring. And part of the healing that they helped with me in 2018 at the first camp out with this group was my addiction to alcohol. And they moved through in some very specific ways, and that's a long story, and this is the very, very condensed version of they helped me with that. And so in these camps, it's coming from just a very clear-headed space without interference, and there's just like so many downloads, and it's not just them. They're in cahoots with those who we see in the sky and with the elementals and the other dimensionals of higher frequency that are here. We're not the only ones here. We're not the only ones sharing this space, and they've definitely opened that up.
Thank you for that. Oh my gosh, is it noon yet for when we have to sing? Because if it is, and when I ask you, Rosemary, what's going on, let me check the time.
Okay.
Keep it going.
Will you be able to share this with us in case her camera doesn't
For sure.
work?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can send it in a file or whatever.
Thank you.
15 more minutes, but
Okay, let's just.
Rosemary, like,
If I feel inspired, I'll
you
sing.
feel
But
inspired.
let's see how long the interview
Yeah.
goes. I have a bit of a cold.
Mm-hmm. Why did you come with me other than that
With
we
you?
do everything together
Yeah,
all the
mostly
time?
to be with you. Well, I'm going to rephrase the question and say, why did I choose to frame my time and work and energy and resources and community and spirit around this particular camp out? And I believe it was the invitation with the word for. I believe that Ashley asked you to write poems for Sasquatch, and that the practice of devotion is beautiful to me. And when we opened to that, we both individually opened to it in our own ways, and together we started experiencing more and more synchronicity, and our lives changed, our spiritual community changed. My work, I'm a choreographer, an artist, and that started shifting. And it was undeniable. The signs were undeniable. And honestly, it's opening me up to humanity in a lot of ways. And I guess I'll call it the mundane, and I mean that in a very positive way. That I can be very impatient and proud and narcissistic, and like wrapped up in my own, like my work requires it. It's tough. I'm an artist, and like it's so cruel out there. And like I have to stay focused on like me and my vision and not let like the haters get me down or whatever. And so I can get blinded to what really matters, which is for me in the mundane, in the sticks and the rocks, and in being open to awe and wonder and things that are bigger than me. And that is why I came. Yes. Ashley, would you comment on the mundane?
I think that the mundane is where all the magic resides. And it's amazing that you brought that up, because it's something that I've been meditating on a lot, and something that a very dear friend of mine brought up a long time ago as well. And it's the same conversation, because we're we're all here in this place that houses a lot of things and things going on, and ways in which we can interact with this environment, and how we interact with others outside of self, right? This whole thing is a stage for the individual and for you, and really just your communication and conversation with God, right? And then we think like, well, we have to come to the forest to find that magic and find that beauty and get closer to God. It's like, no, God's in your 9 to 5, you know, like that connection and that mundane of paying bills and doing the dishes and making sure that A, B, and C get done. That daily life, that daily interaction that we have with strangers in the supermarket or at the gas station, whatever, you know, that is just as important and spiritual as sitting on top of a mountain meditating, you know. There's because everything is a teacher, everyone is a teacher, and with the ability to have free will within this environment, like, you know, possibilities are endless as to what you can experience when you put your energy and focus into it. So we can have the magic out here because we can really get focused and we can really like put ourselves into a place of connecting. But that doesn't mean that the Sasquatch don't walk with you, you know, or your other higher beings aren't with you when you're at the home improvement store, you know, or at the laundromat, and that magic resides everywhere. And we can get so wrapped up. We can get so wrapped up in the mundane experience, and we can allow it to become bricks that we put in our pockets, because we forget most of all to remember that the magic is there too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beth, I'm curious, would you comment on these last 3 days for you?
Yeah, like the minute I got here, I just felt something that was just like I hadn't been in this feeling before and in my body in this way before. And I do attribute it to like what the Sasquatch that are here, and I haven't had like any flashy experiences other than hearing like a footstep outside the tent on the first night. But it's like a kind of rewiring. Like I just like to like lean against and lie down next to a tree for a very long time, and I'm able to experience the sensitivity of my body going really, really far out, you know, because I'm trying to communicate with interdimensional beings, and the only way that I feel guided to do so is just to sit and get really quiet and just appreciate, really use my eyes, look at foreground, really pay attention to every little tree, and it's like attuning me bodily to something that is how I want to live every day. And I realize I can do that every day. Even if I'm at Costco, I can still practice seeing, like with my eyes, like the distance between me and what is going on in this dimension and others. So yeah, it's just a lot of feelings of love and simplicity and peace. Yeah.
I would like to comment. One is that I feel like part of the healing that's occurring through Sasquatch Peoples is like a bridging of the chasms between us. That like, okay, so I have a choreography project, interpretive dances for Sasquatch, and people get really excited about it. Maybe because it's wacky or outside, they think it's like, you know, it's something that we can all talk about regardless of like what kind of dance we do or where we're coming from. But then, and everybody tends to like laugh and love it and be excited and want to participate, and without fail somebody will say, well, that's not really how Sasquatch would do it, or how Sasquatch would want it, or how Sasquatch would dance. And then they like pause. I don't need to guide them. They pause and they're like, oh, maybe I should just let go of that idea and keep looking. And that to me is a gift. And that I don't know, I haven't like gotten deeper than that, but I want to go deeper with that. I'm interested in that thing that like can highlight the ways that we divide ourselves. In dance, it's like, that's not dance, that is dance, that's good, that's not good, whatever. And then to let go of that and say, oh, what am I curious about? What drew me here? How can I deepen that? Why am I still here? How can I increase my sense of wonder? And I want to say another thing. I had a really exciting and synchronistic experience with, there's a ghost youth here named Violet, and she's like 17 or 18, and she's in the guard station. And like the 2 days leading up to the campout, I write like compulsively, so I was just writing like Violet a lot, and I was practicing some choreography in the pool, and I was trying to make a violet. Like I was like making like an orb shape with a violet, that is if it was like if it's like a UFO had like a violet flashing, so you could see the flash of a violet, and then it would go into like the orb of light, and then the violet, and then the orb. I was practicing that.
What's the Violet story?
And then we get here, and there's a woman who's a ghost, a 17 or 18-year-old ghost person, who's living in the guard house, because when she used to come here as a child, this was transmitted through
Arla. Arla's, she's a spiritual woman, and she's connected in a lot of ways, and she connected with Violet. So
yeah, and she told us that Violet is in communication with the Sasquatch peoples, and that this was a place of her childhood.
she felt this was her favorite place to come to, and when she came here with her family, she developed this relationship with the Sasquatch. And when she passed away, Arla said that she's like, I feel like we all have different parts of our essence that can stay and anchor in to different places that we want them to. And we're not necessarily restricted in the non-physical world to, just one dimension or whatever. So Violet has part of her essence residing in the guardhouse. And because she had so much joy in life here, and she's continuing it on a different level with the Sasquatch people. When Arla walked through the house, she felt not only Violet and heard her story, but also of a very, very strong female Sasquatch up in the top part of the guard station, up the stairs. She said it felt like she was in a fun house with the amount of energy. So they're homies, and they're still doing their thing, and they have made themselves known. Like Violet has made herself known. I don't know if a fly went down my shirt. She has made herself known, and it's all good. We're all commingling in our different existences all the time.
Well, Violet is a gift. I mean, if you look at the color, like color theory, or like the plant, it's very delicate and sturdy. Like there are mountain violets, but to get like violet essence is very, very, very difficult. Same with like the stability of actual like true violet. It's like, it's powerful and it's elusive. So I feel very blessed to be in that essence.
This is amazing. And that is also not uncommon, to have like really synchronistic events before, during, and after a camp out like this, to where you're connecting. It's like time isn't a thing, linear time isn't a thing, and it's like you've already connected before you came, and it's already eternal type of thing.
And you've been kind of feeling like you're a child, like what you've been saying, 11 years old is how you've been feeling, or?
Well, we had this realization on the drive up here. So when I was a kid, I was in boarding school briefly in India. and I had a best friend, and her name was Shekinah. And we would go into the woods and we would play, and we would look at the berries and the patterns on the woods and the swirls of the wood, and we would sing and dance, and we didn't speak the same language. And sometimes we would go to her auntie's house, who she lived with. She was a day student, and we would just sit in the house in the forest. And I am realizing that might be impossible. That it's possible. And okay, so like I had friends in boarding school that I kept in like pen pal contact with, and I always thought about writing Shekinah a letter, and I don't know if I ever did. So I mean, I carried on this potentially fact-based belief. I don't know if it's fact or fiction, or that's not the question, but anyway, it's possible that Shekinah was like not a real thing.
And what does her name mean when you looked it up?
It means the bodily manifestation of God.
Yeah, Shekinah is a hardcore word.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I was 10 or 11.
So let me just throw a little bit of this into there, because I don't know if you know about this or not, but the Sasquatch are deeply, deeply, deeply connected to India.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Within like the ancient scriptures, they were known as the Hanuman.
Oh, the Hanuman. We have a Hanuman temple in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have a very, very strong connection to the Sasquatch, and they have a very, very, they did back in the day, to the dogmen, to the Cynocephali, as they were known back then.
Mm-hmm.
So the kings of India would trade with the dog people of the forest.
That's interesting. Cody's a holy city, and I don't know. Yeah, I need to look that up more. But we would peer out the slats and the fences, and there would be people prostrate, like, dragging boulders or lying on beds of nails.
Wow.
It was very, which is why I know that maybe because we had to peer through these like little bits of light, that possibly I wasn't allowed to like play freely in the forest.
The 2 children would not be allowed to walk into the forest by themselves in their boarding school. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
she taught
cool.
you about color too, right?
Yeah, like deep purples.
Purples.
Berry colors. Mm-hmm. And woods, like cherry woods. Anyway.
That's dope.
Yeah, Shekinah. Feeling it.
She's also a hip hop artist. Yeah.
Shekinah. Yeah.
Well, awesome. So good.
Do you have any other infos about the power of that word?
I think it's connected to, it's like it's either Jewish, like a Jewish tradition.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Very adopted in Hindu.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't also want to like attribute everything to Sasquatch. I'm like, it's like, oh, by the way, the Sasquatch are in India. But there is something that I guess like is not very, it's known, but it's not well known, but it is known by us because this group has experienced it, that the Sasquatch can shapeshift.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's the evidence is leading to that they don't just shapeshift into animals, but they can shapeshift into people.
Mm-hmm.
And they can look like people. They can look like humans.
I believe that. I think I know I can feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Barb's had it happen a few times, like not that far back. Like it was like maybe like 2 or 3 campouts ago. There was someone in camp and they thought it was all this one person, and she was like, I wasn't there. Barb was like, I saw you. We made eye contact. She's like, nope. So yeah, like they can, and that's why I think that I can look back in my history and as a kid, as an 11-year-old, as a 10-year-old, as a 9-year-old, being in these natural places, and there's these moments where it's embedded in my memory. It's really like embedded in my memory, not because I have a memory of seeing them, but I have a memory of standing at the edge of our backyard in southern Indiana that went straight up against just forest. You know, it was like the yard was cut out of the forest, and it was a few acres, maybe like 4 acres. So of just staring into the trees, you know. And if I did see anything, it's been consciously blocked from me at this point, and has. But that experience has never left. So it's interesting to like be very much participating in this connection and communication in present day, and then looking back and going, I think those are connected. Why wouldn't they be connected? Why wouldn't they have already been working with me from the very beginning? You know, these are our guides, and they're physical and non-physical. It's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool, man.
It's cool.
You got to
Take
go
it
forth
from
and
us.
sing now.
Yes, we gotta go
Thank
sing.
you.
Peace.
We put it there last night, and it was the box that still had the partial honey bun in it. We set it on the other side of the stump. It was just like set right here, just right there. And this morning, first thing, Arla was up and she came up and took a picture of how it had been moved. And now it's on this side of the stump. And I came up a little bit ago and looked, and it appeared to just like her picture was this morning. Okay, and then I was here, I came up maybe an hour or so ago to show Kathy that it had been moved. And I mean, because there's a little bit of clearance there, but I mean, could a ground squirrel really drag that whole box?
Well, if it was,
the hole?
that's why I asked if it had been moved, because if it hasn't been moved, then if it was pushed underneath there would have been like debris in front of it from being pushed.
Yeah, being pushed up. Okay,
Yeah.
wait, stay back, because there's things here. Okay, so then I'm looking at it. The sun was here more. There was one of the wrappers had been pulled out and was right here, and the wrapper is now gone. And that was there an hour ago. And I know Becky came and put these marbles here, but the box has not been chewed or damaged that I can see in any way. So I don't know how a squirrel. And also there's an active hole here, and there were fresh tracks coming out of there, and those little tracks are like this.
Of what?
A ground squirrel.
Okay.
So this isn't like one of the big marmots. This is a ground squirrel.
Yeah.
And so
They're tiny. I saw one earlier.
So could a ground squirrel drag the box through that hole to this side?
No, because it would have some sort of teeth marks or something
Yeah.
to where it would have to hold on to.
Yeah. Okay, so then I can kind of see now, it kind of looks like something here that I didn't spot before, but what I saw when I was up here showing up earlier was, look at this. So it's like we have a partial print right here, and then there was also, this was relatively fresh.
Do you see that right there?
Right here?
Yeah.
See, these are the squirrel prints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and there were a few of them. The wind is kind of blowing them, but I have video and pictures of some very clear and fresh, and they're not very big.
Okay.
But those
So not
are,
like little fingerprints or...
No, those are little, and you can see
Okay.
where they come and
Yeah.
go. Okay, but this is not a squirrel. This looks like toes, or I was thinking possibly knuckles, like that. But then there's also this here, and these have dried out. You know, the sun was on them when I first spotted them, but so we have this, which also
picks it up nice.
kind of really reminds me of some of the knuckle prints that I've seen before too, but that could very easily be a toe. But this here looks like it's definitely a partial something. You can see where the squirrels run across it there too. There's little tiny tracks here. See?
Yeah.
So the question is, did a squirrel drag the box through? Or did a Sasquatch sit here, you know, sit wherever, stand here, have finished honey bun? Oh, and partial honey bun here that is continuously shrinking. So the squirrels are still working on this. So
that was maybe...
I think that might have been the partial one that was still in the box last night, and the wrapper. I'll have to ask Becky. Maybe she picked up the wrapper that was still in here beside the box, because there's no wrapper in there now. Yeah, but the hole hasn't been chewed any bigger, and I can't imagine how any of the marmots would have had to make that hole bigger to get in there and get anything.
And if you think of even just like water, it's the path of least resistance. An animal is going to do the path of least resistance, which isn't to drag this big thing in here. It would go inside.
Yeah, it would go over there and eat what's going to have over there. It wouldn't
Yeah.
pull the whole box over here.
Yeah.
And eat. Yeah, no kidding. Very good point there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so considering that we have fresh prints right here, the box has been moved basically to the opposite side of the stump from where we left it. I mean, given there is definitely some rodent things going on here, but
it still doesn't add up.
it still doesn't add up. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
It is.
So I'm not going to pick the box up or touch anything until Arla's here to look at it with us.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious as to where the wrapper went, because I asked for the wrappers to be brought back, which, that doesn't mean I didn't take it. I just wasn't ready to take it. So.
Honey Bun Camp. Camp Honey Bun.
It is. You know, we should call it that.
Camp Honey Bun. Yep.
I like that. Pretty cool, huh?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I saw that big one when I first got here.
Greasy.
Oh, wow.
Left a residue.
I can get it real well on the camera. Greasy, watery footprints.
No, she went over that way.
The trail we hiked up yesterday?
So we had
Go directly away
sighting in
from us
this-
and you'll hit the trail.
we had a sighting in this little bush area, and upon further investigation, we find these prints, and they have an oily sheen within the gathering of the water. And that has 3 toes.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's that?
And it has a sheen, too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So there's these 2 footprints, and they have like this greasy sheen, which they have a grease on their skin, and it gets left in prints on glass and other surfaces. So you can see that this water doesn't have that going on with it. But then when we come over here to this, you can see it resting on top of the water that's collected in there. And that has 3 toes.
Yeah. Or it's a knuckle.
Or it's a knuckle. Yes. Or it's a hand.
Those look like
See,
hands, or like they were trying to get out of there.
Interesting. I love it. We've come up to Kelly's Corner to check it out. And kind of immediately when we park and we get to the spot, we find this interesting grouping of sticks. And it could have been made to look like that, or it could have fallen. And this might be an older one. Gorgeous nonetheless. There's more stuff going on in here. They're sod. Is that one sod at the end? And then jammed between those 2?
What are the chances? What are they? 12 feet apart? Top is there. The bottom is
Trouble
there.
is, maybe you can go around it.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you can go around it. Well, there you go.
Oh!
Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
That was a very strong welcome. Welcome.
We have this big X in this area. And then right here, next to the X, we have these. And this is shoved into the ground, brought up here, and it's leaning on this one, which is so precariously wrapped in. So precariously wrapped in the branches here and brought down. And it bends into the ground. So it's a really, really beautiful X. And I don't know what this is, but this is definitely a punch in the ground. I think I found a footprint. It could be a footprint. There could be some toes in there. And from this angle, up. I think there's a trackway. This. That one. That one. And that one. Hey, Lee. I think I might have a trackway.
Yeah, maybe, but
Maybe. Or maybe it's elk. I don't know.
I see a lot of indentations.
Yeah, I have a line here. And there's this one, that one, and that one. And it
Well, I'm
might
seeing
be,
this right here.
yeah. And then this one.
You think that's a Sasquatch track?
I don't know. I don't know. It could be elk because
like
it's
an
like,
elk.
yeah.
I see a lot of those in here. I'm seeing them. Here's one here.
Yeah, that looks like elk. Did you see this? And there's a big X underneath this tree right here.
I saw this X right here.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Nope. There's one like at the base right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like right behind this cool X structure right here, or TP type structure. Behind it we have this really beautiful leaner which comes up this way and forks off into 3. And this Trinity theme continues. Very cool. Look at this from underneath it. Huh? Okay.
It's 4 black, either crow. I'm assuming they're crow because they're smaller. Could be a raven. I don't know.
Whoa.
But there's 4 right here. One's crisscrossed, 2 out.
Wow.
Right? I just stopped in my
Whoa.
tracks. Like, wow.
Whoa.
Right?
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that crisscross one's very,
Oh.
very cool. It's been placed.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Wow,
So it's like, you know, there might be some kind of, I don't know, like a little,
Huh.
I don't see any prints. I didn't want to move. I was like, don't move until you look around. So
That's awesome.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
There's some more coming up too over here. Cool.
Feathers?
Yeah,
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Feathers or
Those are mushrooms pushing up or trying to get through.
That's yeah, that's interesting.
that's special.
Yeah, that's definitely special. I don't feel like it's for me, so I am not looking. I feel like it was something the babies are doing. That's the feeling I got.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yep.
It's the last night of camp, and the sun is setting, and I was sitting right there, just having some good contemplation. And I looked over here, and I found this. And it looks like it's a couple of super old, rusty wire hangers. And then maybe like a butter knife with a wooden handle that's been stabbed into the ground at the base of this glorious tree. Look at how beautiful this tree is. So, you know, did a human do that at this campsite at some point? Or did the Sasquatch do it? Did they pick these things up in their journeys around and find them and bring them here? I don't know. I don't know the history behind it, but I find it really beautiful, actually. It's very artistic, you know, and it seems like it was placed to be found. But you know, if a human was here and camping and they found these items at their campsite, would they throw them away along with the rest of their garbage? Or would they place them here in such a manner for someone else to find? Or, see, it doesn't make sense that a human would do that if they were like, oh, I found these lost items, I'll put them here in case the owner comes back. Maybe we would do that with other items, but I don't think that we'd do that with a couple of wire hangers, old rusty hangers, and then this knife that's sticking into the base of the tree. So, okay, I'm literally just thinking about this right now, looking at it, but again, in one of my last videos, I talked about how there was communication happening at my home and how things were being stuck in the ground at the base of a tree. So here we have something that's been stuck in the ground at the base of a tree, right next to where I am set up. That's that's really beautiful, and I love it. Thank you.
Greetings. I'm driving home from an amazing camp out. Again, there's so much that happens. I'm really glad that I'm documenting this with the videos because it's easy to forget, and it's so important. It's so important to document so we can remember. And I guess this is a good time to say that you can go to Amazon and look up my name, Ashley Stinnett, spelled ASHLEA-STINNETT. And you can find journals that I have designed with camping and Sasquatch connection documentation in mind. So check that out. Thanks for coming along. I have no words, you know, I mean, like, there's so much. One of the last things that occurred, and I'll go into a little bit more detail with, was the two rusty old wire hangers, and it was a steak knife, and the steak knife was shoved into the ground at the base of that tree. My friend Bet, when I brought her over and I showed it to her, she's like, and she had a beautiful connection with the Sasquatch, heart to heart. Both her and Rosemary did, and they were welcomed in just absolutely beautiful ways, loving, caring, compassionate, loving ways by the Sasquatch people, and we had a blast. But so when I took Bet over and I showed her the knife and everything, she's like, well, they think it's funny, you know, because you have all your knives on. And I do. When I go camping, I carry a buck knife on my belt, and I always have like a pocket knife, and then I also have like a different pocket knife. So I'm like at camp, I have like 3 knives on for, you know, whittling and whatever type of purpose that a utility knife is needed for. So, and then they gave me a knife. They gave me one of their knives, and it looks old. You know, the handle's wood, and it's but it's sharp. The serrated edge on it is really sharp. So I love knives. Knives hold a special place in my heart. And yeah, so just like another deeper layer to their connections, and to the connections between me and them through this, you know, the gifts that they give. And it's so individual for everyone. And I wasn't the only one that was gifted something. We were all gifted in many, many ways, different and unique and purposeful to the individual. And it's so personal. It is so personal, the connection. And you know, with each camp, I learn more about myself. And that's the greatest gift ever. So I love this area. I've been out here one other time, so this was my second time, but first time at this particular camp, which is so special to Barb and to the group. And they've gone out there a lot, and it's a special place for so many. And I wanted to give you a little information also about the song that I put in here. I recorded it at the campsite. I wrote it, I think I wrote it in 2019, and you know, like I slammed out the lyrics, but the melodies and the guitar work was a process, and it's completed. So I recorded it for your listening pleasure. But the song it's about a connection that Tom Cantrell made with his teacher at that land that we were at. And his teacher is a very, very large Sasquatch man known as Red Stripe. And he has a big red stripe across his chest in his hair. There's a different color of red that stripes across his chest. And I've felt his energy before. I've connected with him before, and I think maybe, that's the clan that we connect with when we go there. He has a family. So Tom had a really great first meeting with him out in that area, and it's been a lifelong connection ever since. And so that song is kind of like a conversation between the Sasquatch and us, humanity. So I hope you like it. It's called Tom's Song because it's Tom's song. So yeah, I am going to enjoy this beautiful drive home. It's so, look at that building. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. See it? Ooh. It's one of those old ones. I'm passing through a lot of these small towns, and it's pretty cool seeing the architecture from the old world in its present forms scattered about. It's one of my favorite things about traveling is looking at all the old world buildings. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this drive, and I'll check you on the flip side sooner than later. Peace and love to all. I love you.